the Russian kettlebell swing. So there are literally dozens of swing variations and even a couple of different ways to do the Russian kettlebell swing. I'm just going to address the foundational Russian kettlebell swing movement pattern in this video. I'm not going to worry about all the multitude and plethora, depending on which side your bread's buttered, of variations. So I'm going to demonstrate a few reps, then I'll talk you through the points of performance, look at some common errors. Points of performance for the Russian kettlebell swing. So first of all, your stance. So you want your feet to be hip width apart. You want your weight distributed evenly over the entire foot. Don't want those feet too wide. Of course, you don't want them too narrow. Directly underneath your hips. Also, your vertical jump or your jumping position. That's where you're going to be able to generate power through the hips. The kettlebell swing is really just a hip hinge and an aggressive opening or extending of the hips. The next point of performance is we want to keep our back flat throughout the entire movement. You don't want to be losing back position, rounding over. So keeping the back flat throughout the entire position. And then, as I mentioned, the movement is really just hinge or flexion and extension of the hips. That's all the movement that occurs. The knees do bend slightly as we come down and then fully extend as we stand upright. So knees will bend slightly, fully extend as we stand upright, and we're thinking about aggressively opening those hips up. Next point of performance is our grip on the kettlebell. We just want a nice light grip on the kettlebell. You will actually transition between being very light and relaxed in this top position and gripping it as it comes down between the legs and you're pushing it out through the back there. And then the other point I want to look at is, so you've got your grip, we want those arms relaxed. So just think about your arms being ropes, your hands being hooks, connecting you to the kettlebell. So elbows slightly relaxed. We don't want them bent. We don't want to be kind of pulling the kettlebell up here, but also we also don't want them rigid and straight so that we're pushing the kettlebell away from us. So elbows just nice and relaxed, hands nice and relaxed in this position. And then as the kettlebell comes back down again, and this will link in with one of the key errors, is that we want to wait for the kettlebell to get to our hips before we then hinge forward. We don't want to start hinging as the kettlebell's coming down because this creates a long lever that loads up the lower back. And if you get a sore back when you're doing kettlebell swings, chances are you're hinging too early, or as you're coming up to the top, you're overarching at the top. But for this part, we want to think about as the kettlebell comes down, the elbows come into the body, forearm hits the pelvis, and then we fold forward as a result of that, not anticipating it. And then how high the kettlebell goes is a direct result of the power generated by your hips. So how aggressively you straighten the legs and open the hips up, that will determine where the kettlebell goes. Ideally, we want it around about eye height. Doesn't need to be any higher. If we're only getting it down here, kettlebell might be too heavy or not generating enough power. We also don't want a droopy kettlebell, so that would look something like this. That indicates that you're lifting the kettlebell with your arms. As I said, arms are just ropes, hands are hooks attaching you to the kettlebell. So again, I'll just do a few reps that demonstrate those movements. I'm also going to show you how to start and how to end the kettlebell swing. So get your stance set up, feet underneath the hips. I'm going to place that kettlebell maybe a foot, foot and a half away from me. I'm going to hinge at the hips, bend at the knee. This is about as bent as the knees will get. Going to grab the top of the kettlebell, relaxed grip. Going to kind of wrap my thumb and forefinger around in a bit of an OK grip. They're going to be my main grippers on the kettlebell. And then the other fingers are just going to loosely wrap around. I'm rocking the kettlebell back here, loading up through my hamstrings and my glutes. They're nice and tight in this position, ready to roll. Arms are relaxed. Take a breath in, swing the kettlebell back between my legs. So I hike it up, just like a centre in American football, gridiron, hiking the ball up through the legs, nice and close to the groin. Gripping it, coming through and then explode up. Okay, so comes through, hiked up to the hips, squeeze the butt, squeeze the quads, kettlebell will float up to there. So that's how you start it. And then how you finish it, after a swing, come back between your legs and then park it back into that starting position there. So again, park the kettlebell back in the start position there. So as far as your breathing goes, you might be able to hear me then. I'm going to take a breath in through my nose and then exhale on the upswing. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, so some of the main errors that we see with the Russian kettlebell swing. One, I've already mentioned, is that stance being too wide. Okay, bring your feet in. Next one, again, I've already mentioned, is losing that back position, either by rounding over this way, or as we go up, we lean back at the top rather than just standing up tall. Don't want to do this, just want to stand up tall. The next one is that, as I've already mentioned, as the kettlebell comes down, hinging at the hip too soon. I've already mentioned your droopy kettlebell. No one likes a droopy kettlebell. And then lastly, again, already mentioned, arms either being locked out super straight and allowing the kettlebell to drift away from the body, or having them too bent, elbows too bent and coming in too close to the body. You don't want to be looking at it, smacking yourself in the mush with the kettlebell. Not a good idea. So that's a pretty quick but hopefully very useful rundown on the Russian kettlebell swing with your key points performance, how to start and finish it, and also some common errors and how to address those. Any questions, let me know.